encouraging user interactions on your SEO. That's one thing you can do to kind of combat, because AI really likes that social media aspect, and it uses social media a lot to find answers to questions.
Hello. Welcome to today's session of Selling the Couch. I hope you are doing well, having an incredible day. So I turned 43 recently, and I don't know, it's crazy to think, and this is actually also the 10th year of the podcast, and it's crazy to think, I started this in my early 30s, and just before we jump into today's session, just wanted to say how much I appreciate each one of you for taking the time to listen to the audio podcast. And also, if you don't know, we actually have a YouTube channel as well. So something we started in the last year. We're still small and mighty, but so if you get a second, search for my name on YouTube, or you can go to sellingthecouch.com/YouTube. Subscribe if you also want to see this in a video format. Today's podcast is basically titled How to Think About SEO in This World of AI. I'm joined by Mary Walker from Simplified SEO. So Simplified SEO has new ownership. Jessica Tapana, who was the previous owner, sold Simplified to Mary, and Mary had been working with Jessica for a number of years. Mary and I and Ed connected earlier this year, and I was like, you guys have to come on the podcast, because this world of SEO, which I think a lot of clinicians have focused on for a number of years, is rapidly changing with AI. And I think there's both this, when I talk to clinicians, I notice a couple of different things. So one is either this real fear, did all of this SEO work that I did in the past, is that completely out the door with AI? There's also a level of excitement of, oh my gosh, this is so cool, because content creation and AI can really enhance stuff. And then there's just this feeling of uncertainty, I don't know what to do. And if you're in any of those camps, I think today's podcast session is going to be incredibly helpful for you. The world, I think you're going to hear this over and over, but SEO is changing from just an emphasis on websites to more of your digital footprint on the internet. And what can we as therapists, whether you're in private practice or you're a therapist like me that shifted more into thought leadership, what can we do to enhance and make sure that we're ranking and doing all of those things when it comes to SEO in this new world of AI? We're covering a bunch of different things. So first of all, this idea that AI is enhancing SEO, and what does that sort of mean? How does Mary see a website SEO evolving with AI? And what are some of the biggest mistakes that Mary sees therapists making when it comes to SEO and AI? I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation, take a lot away from it. And if you're watching on YouTube, we have a number of resources underneath in the description section, blog posts and things that Mary's written, I think that can further help you understand some of this stuff. Here's my conversation with Mary Walker from SimplifiedSEO.com. Hey, Mary, welcome to Selling the Couch.
Hey, Melvin, thanks for having me today. I'm glad to be here.
Oh my gosh. It's been really nice to connect with you. And as you guys take over Simplified SEO and, I guess take the proverbial, the baton of Simplified SEO and
carry on the torch.
Carry on the torch, whatever, corny analogy we want to incorporate into here. But I'm just so excited for you guys. And it's been really nice to connect. And even this topic, I know we've been thinking about this for a couple of months, which is how to think about SEO in this world of AI.
Yes.
I know that a lot of clinicians are thinking about it. So before we jump too much into that, I just wanted to say I'm grateful for you. Excited that we get to have a great conversation and kind of nerd out on this stuff.
Yes, I am too.
I wanted to even start there, which is I feel and again, I can just share my own personal perspective. I went from I don't know what ChatGPT is, 8 months ago, to kind of being curious, to now using it. I would say it's become the top 3 tools that we use for STC regularly. which is wild in a span of 7 months that's happened. And I use it for all sorts of different things. But I know that clinicians are, especially clinicians that have focused on website SEO for a long time, or I feel like that's a priority that a lot of clinicians have because it allows you to, build trust and authority, but doesn't, you kind of have that layer where you can blog or something like that. But I think a lot of clinicians are worried, right, or concerned or curious, whatever, any of those words,
Yeah.
regarding AI. And I guess even let's just start there. Like, what's like a word of encouragement that you might even share to clinicians?
I've been like on a blog run lately. I've written like 5 blogs about this topic because I do think it's super relevant to our SEO and encouraging our clients not to be fearful that SEO is going to just fall off the map. I don't think AI is killing SEO. I really think it's enhancing SEO in a lot of ways, and it's just going to be about changing our perspective about how we approach SEO and just the way that we attach ourselves and attack pages. I think it's going to make our SEO efforts more comprehensive, more in depth, but I think that it's really going to enhance the SEO in the long run. I don't think it's going to kill SEO at all. I think it's going to be a beneficial tool that we'll be able to kind of implement and use to make our SEO efforts better and more comprehensive, because there's a lot of things that AI is doing that we should have been doing, I think, but it's teaching us that there's things like schema markup and stuff that we should have been doing a long time ago that we need to be doing now. So I think it's a great learning tool for us, and it's just going to help us make SEO more comprehensive and more useful.
This is great. You said a lot of really, really wonderful things here. So you said AI is enhancing SEO. I think that was the phrase you used. And I think a lot of clinicians usually don't use the word enhance. They're like, is this going to replace SEO
Right.
or any of these things? And even before asking that question, like, I think one thing I even noticed, because I'm, I try to like be enough versed in the tech, crypto, like that whole space, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you see these companies like Google and Meta and even Amazon, like, with quantum computing and all of this stuff, like the companies that have emphasized and talked and done SEO, they're actually the ones that are investing the heavy dollars into AI, which is like really fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that you should invest in AI. I think you should learn about it. I think you should learn about how Google's generative search engine platform is changing things, because it is changing things. It is changing how search results show up, how Google processes search queries from people looking for answers on Google. But I think that if you can, form an understanding of how it's changing things, you can adapt your SEO strategy to bring those things into the fold, so to speak, and adapt your SEO strategy to utilize all of those things that AI is doing, and really kind of make your SEO strategy adapt to the AI, so that it's really bringing all of those things together and enhancing. Again, like I just like that word because I really believe it's enhancing your SEO strategy and your visibility.
Yeah, I think I love that you used that word. I think an image that I think about is like, what is it, like a rising tide lifts all boats? And I think I keep getting that image when I think about with AI, because and SEO, because I think in the initial stages when I thought about all this AI stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to replace like every other job out there. But I think the more I'm in it, I'm like, oh, this makes me more efficient and thoughtful and all of those things, and
I think one big thing to remember is that AI can't replace human strategy.
Right.
AI can't replace the human emotion and the human thoughtfulness and empathy and the things, especially that mental health, providers are really important to their clients. AI can't replace that human aspect of what we do with SEO. Right. So that's one thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think, absolutely. I guess the question that I had is, how do we change our perspective on it if somebody is listening and they're like, hey, I am like terrified with, AI bots, like, all of these things and, all this AI like content creation. Like, how does a clinician that's listening change their perspective from seeing it as a threat to maybe as an enhancement tool?
Yeah, I think that it's no longer SEO isn't anymore. It's not just about ranking your website. It's about doing a lot of different things across multiple digital platforms now, because people don't just use Google. They search on TikTok, they search on Instagram, they search on Facebook. So they're using all of these platforms. So one thing that people really need to focus on is using social media and AI search together and enhancing their social media, their presence, because that while that doesn't have a direct impact on your organic SEO, Google views that as part of your SEO strategy. And by like using keyword rich captions on your social media, changing, and making sure that you're creating engaging video content, using encouraging user interactions on your SEO, that's one thing you can do to kind of combat, because AI really likes that social media aspect, and it uses social media a lot to find answers to questions. You can also think about how people use, I don't know about you, but I use voice to text a lot. So I use ask Google questions. I will just hit the voice search and ask Google a question. So one thing is structure your content for conversational questions. So think about what questions people are actually answering, and then be concise and have direct answers in your content. Like FAQs, Google and AI love FAQs. So if you can get an FAQ on the page that has questions and concise answers, you're more likely to get into one of the rich snippets, that the AI snippets that Google's putting at the top of the page now. It'll pull from that to answer your question for you and link to your website. I think that the video and AI powered search, video is very very important. So if you like turn your blogs into YouTube videos, that's what I've been doing on my website. I'll condense the blog into a YouTube script and just create a brief YouTube video and embed it in every blog that I write. So I have that extra juice for SEO. So there's a lot of things that you can do that AI really likes and utilizes across multiple platforms. So I would stop thinking about SEO as just writing a blog and optimizing it, but writing a blog and how else can I get it to my followers? I can put it on Instagram. I can put it on YouTube. I can create a video with it. I can, put an FAQ in it. So start thinking about how you can use multiple platforms to get it out there in front of people. That's one of the main things.
Yeah, I mean, that shift, I think, that's a huge shift, right? So it's almost like going from the website is the main way that Google is sending traffic to your website, to now, how do you like take up as much digital real estate as possible?
Exactly.
In a sustained way.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned video a couple of times. So are there any like favorite platforms that you like when it comes to like social media platforms that emphasize video, or is it, TikTok has as much emphasis as YouTube or Instagram?
We don't, I'm going to be honest, we don't use TikTok because people are mean. And so we don't put ourselves out there on TikTok very much. We do use YouTube a lot. We do use Instagram a lot for videos and reels and things like that. And we seem to get good impressions. We've been using videos on LinkedIn as well for business to business and connecting with other mental health providers, things like that. But right now, my favorite is still YouTube. I mean, YouTube is still my favorite place to post videos, because it makes it really easy to embed into your pages, because you can just put that link right on your page, and then you don't have to worry about it bogging down your website, because YouTube is still carrying the page and you're just linking to it basically. So I still like YouTube because it's the most user friendly, I think.
Yeah, I think broadly what I have found is, especially if you don't have like a marketing team in place, i.e., like you're a solo practitioner,
Yeah.
or maybe you have a solo practitioner, you have like an assistant or something. I found it really hard to go beyond like two platforms and do
Right.
them really well.
It is.
Because I think there's all this common sort of myth out there of trying to diversify across all these platforms and somehow, but I think it's like really hard to sustain that. So, even for us, like personally with STC, I don't know, for about 8 years, all I did was an audio podcast. And I'm gonna embarrass myself a little bit. Like we didn't, all I did was an audio podcast. We didn't even create blog posts. We did in the initial days, but like again, we were like so lean.
Yeah.
So we didn't even create blog posts for it. And now, probably in the last year and a half, we have started to go back and create using AI, like basically take our transcripts from the audio,
Yep.
and then create a simplified blog post for it, embed our audio player at the top. But I think the bigger thing we've done now, probably in the last, I don't know, year and a half, I would say as well, basically the audio podcast, turn on the video, have it available for YouTube, edit both the audio and the video, and then create a AI generated blog post that's still in my voice, because I still look at it and make sure it flows.
Right.
And then create one comprehensive blog post with the YouTube video embedded and an audio player embedded. Is that sort of a good practice, or am I like...
No, I think, and that's what I've been doing is basically just in the opposite. I will create the blog post first, and then I will create a script from using AI to kind of condense the blog post, and then I will create a blog and video for that blog post and embed it at the top of the blog post. So if people would rather just watch a 5-minute video instead of reading through a whole blog, they can do that and kind of get the gist of what the blog post was about. And I think that really helps user engagement. And because a lot of people don't want to read, a lot of people will get halfway through a page and be like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to read this whole thing. But a 5-minute video, people are much more inclined to engage with it. And I just read an article on LinkedIn that said people are like 10 times more likely to engage with a video than they are with like reading a post, even if it's not even a very long one. So I think that helps tremendously with your user engagement and user experience on your website. So that's a great thing to do.
And user engagement is a Google ranking factor?
Yes, because they kind of look at how long people are on your website, how many people come to your website, how active it is, because, and plus, as long as you're posting new content, Google views your website as kind of alive and well and doing good. But if you stop posting content, Google can ding you for that and kind of stop pulling you in results because you're not posting consistent content. And it will kind of view your website as a dead website or not active and stop pulling you for results because it'll no longer see you as an expert.
That's so interesting. So on one hand, there is this side of like, you could really get on a content creation treadmill.
Yeah.
Right. But on the other hand, I know that a lot of clinicians are thinking like, how do I do this like more sustainably? Especially, we're recording this, it's in March of 2025, right?
Yeah.
New administration, lots of changes, lots of uncertainty. And I think even now clinicians are like, okay, I love work, but like it's burning me out.
Right.
And even with this marketing side, like, I want to do this, but I want to do it sustainably. Like, so I guess, how do you balance posting on a consistent schedule with, like making sure a clinician is doing this for long-term sustainability? So could it be like, 1 month on, 1 month off, like that thing, or how?
What we did was we were posting our previous owner was posting like every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And we felt like we were really overloading our followers with too much content, too much, after a while, if you see someone pop up too much, you're going to unfollow them or you're going to block them because it gets spammy. Yeah. So what we've done personally on our own social media is we've decided that we post 3 days a week, 1 week, and 2 days a week the next week, just to make it a little easier on ourselves to create fresh content and to keep it so that we're not overwhelming our customer base with spammy posts. And so our posts are more personalized. We've decided to kind of get away from just posting SEO tips to getting to post some more personalized tips, like getting to know the team, what a day in the life of an SEO, specialist working from home looks like, things like that. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a big long post about some clinical thing. It can be something as easy as, my favorite thing about being a therapist and just posting 2 days a week consistently is good. So you don't have to post 5 days a week, every month. You can narrow that down to 2 to 3 days a week on a couple platforms and still get consistent results.
And I think this is one thing I'm finding is like, if you can sort of start with long form content, like in your case, blog, right? In my case, like a transcript that comes into a podcast. If you can start out with that, then it's easier to kind of slice and dice it into these social media posts. Is that sort of a general perspective, or how do you?
Yeah, I think so. If you have content that you already have that's existing and you can find a way to use AI to break it down and make a quick post about it, that's great. That saves you a ton of time. And I personally found a tool called Pictory AI that actually will take the script I wrote and create a video for me with pictures and everything that I can change. And then I just have to do the voiceover. So that creates the video for me. And it takes me literally like 5 minutes to create a video. So I just utilizing the AI tools and making the work as easy as possible for yourself. And I know that ChatGPT now integrates with Canva. So you can kind of create from Canva with ChatGPT and make those work together. So that's another way that AI is kind of helpful in creating social media posts as well.
It's awesome. I'll link to Pictory.ai. That sounds pretty cool. I think it's also like a dream for an introverted therapist who does not want to be on camera.
It is actually, because you don't have to be on camera. You can adjust the pictures however you want. You can upload your own pictures. It creates the scenes for you, and you just record the voiceover and apply it to the whole thing, and you're done. And you can upload it to YouTube and call it good.
That's awesome. You said something at the very beginning I wanted to like circle back to because I just noted it. So you said lots of things that AI is doing, we should have been doing. And one of those was like schema markups.
Yes,
like,
that's a huge one.
What is that? What is that?
So schema markup is, it's basically like a secret language that Google uses and AI uses to figure out what's on your page very quickly. It's you add it to the code on your page, and there's different types of schema markup. Like there's local business schema markup, organization schema markup, but basically there's all different kinds. And so what you do is you add it to your page, and it immediately tells Google that this page is a blog. It's about this. My company is, and AI immediately picks that up and doesn't have to read the whole blog, doesn't have to sift through the content. It automatically knows what's on your page and picks it up and uses that in its AI search results. So schema markup is one of the huge things that people need to be learning about to really get their content noticed by AI. So it's a service that we started offering just recently. We actually decided to start offering, doing schema markup for people because we know that it's something that you're going to need in the future to get ahead of AI. But it sounds complicated because it involves code. But like if your website is on is on WordPress, there are plugins that will do schema markup for you. You just have to put in the information like what you want your page to be about, and it'll put in the code for you. There's schema.org that kind of teaches you what all of the schema markups are. We've written several blogs about schema markup, like what the different types of schema markup are, how they help, how it impacts your SEO. So I would definitely recommend that people start learning about schema markup and what it means, because AI really relies on that to understand what a page is about. And they rely on that more than the actual content of the page sometimes, because it's such a quick, immediately it's at the top of the page and the top of the code, and it just immediately tells AI, okay, this is what this page is about, this is the business, it's a local SEO blog, and AI will then use that in its search results because it automatically knows what the page is about.
That's so interesting. So I guess two kind of questions from based on that. So by doing it that fast, it will mean that your particular blog post will rank faster, or it'll get captured faster by Google? Is that sort of like, what is the benefit of having a schema markup and the AI being able to like read it that fast?
It actually will help your, let me pull up this blog here. It will actually help, they rely on like the new search engines like Bard and ChatGPT and all of those. They kind of rely on advanced algorithms to understand the context and the meaning. So structured data provides that framework for them to understand what your page is about. So say you did an FAQ page and you put FAQ schema on the page, it would automatically know that there's an FAQ, and it would pull that information for like a rich snippet or the AI search results. So it matters more than ever because it enhances your visibility. It improves the user experience. It gives you a competitive advantage because a lot of people aren't using it. So if you use it and your pages get recognized more quickly, like you said, your pages will get recognized more quickly. They'll get pulled for AI search results. They'll get pulled for things that people who aren't using schema markup don't get pulled for. And it helps you stay ahead of all the algorithm updates that Google comes out with, because you've already got the schema markup on your page. So Google already knows what your page is about. You don't have to go in, redo your meta title, update your keywords and do all of that stuff, because the site schema is already on the page telling Google what your page is about. So, I think that it really helps and it really helps connect different content types as well. Like it helps connect your text, your images and videos. And it helps, like a personal, like say you use a personal assistant AI, like some people do, it helps their personal assistant AI find that information quicker. So they say you search for, I need this type of video or I need this type of blog. Your AI will use that schema to find that information more quickly. So you're more likely to get your information pulled up in an AI search, basically.
Super interesting. The other related kind of question that I had for you is, so it sounds like schema markup really depends on page. Like, for example, a therapist in private practice wouldn't have a certain schema markup. It would be more like, if you have an FAQ page, this is the schema to use.
Right.
If you have a services page, this is the schema to use. Is that right?
Yeah, and you can put more than one schema on a page if you want. Like you can put organization schema on your page, which would include like your business information, your name, location, and contact details. And then you can put like your article schema that tells that it's a blog. And then you can put the FAQ schema if there's an FAQ on it. So it's getting all of that information on. You don't want to put too much schema on there because that can get confusing. You want to make sure it's relevant to exactly what your page is about. But you can definitely put more than one type of schema on a page.
Got it. Mary, I know we're coming right up on time, so maybe I'll shorten this question. But what would you say is like the top SEO mistake that therapists are making in this new AI-driven landscape?
That's a hard one. I think I think one of the biggest mistakes I see is that that sometimes therapists are like, I've noticed, don't want to change. And then I don't think anybody likes to change, really. Nobody likes to change because change is scary. But I think one of the biggest things that I've seen some of our clients do is that they've done like the DFY program for 6 months. They've updated their pages. They feel like they've done all the work. And so they don't want to do anything else. They don't want to change and adapt because they feel like they've done all the work, right? So, and they feel like they don't need to adapt to the AI-driven search result, and they don't need to adapt to the different content trends that are happening because those things have changed a lot. So I think that being willing to adapt to the changes that are happening and actively, being willing to go back in and adapt, change your website. And you need to think about content more from a user perspective, like being user friendly, not writing at a PhD level. You want to write at a conversational level. You want to write at a level that normal uneducated people or just everyday people on the street are going to understand. That's hugely important to AI. Kind of changing their thought process onto how they approach things and being willing to adapt. I think a lot of people just think that once they do the SEO work, it's done. I don't have to do any more. Things are going to be fine. But you really need to be willing to kind of consistently adapt, look at trends, change things as you go, and be willing to make those changes to constantly be at the top of those search engine results.
Yeah, that's a really great tip. I think I get the image of like a garden. Probably lots of us are gardeners, right? Or love gardening or love the idea of gardening. But yeah, it's almost like planting the garden, but always also remembering to like tend the garden. Yeah. And there may be like certain things where you have to like rotate out stuff or any of that. And I think that's like a great, at least for me, that was the image that came up when I thought about this, like SEO broadly, but SEO definitely in this AI kind of landscape.
And that's I just wrote an email newsletter, and that's the analogy that I use, because you plant those seeds, and sometimes it takes a while to see those results, but you have to nurture the SEO and just continue to enrich it, continue to care for it, and eventually you're going to get that, you're going to get that reaping of that reward of all the work that you've put in.
Yeah, absolutely. Mary, you guys are doing some pretty amazing work in the world over at Simplified SEO. Where can we learn more? And then we'll also, if you want to just send me a couple of those blog posts, I'll definitely put that in the show notes for you as well.
Perfect.
Where can we learn more about the awesome work you guys are doing?
Well, I'll send you some blogs about some new services that we have that are kind of tackling that AI aspect of things. I'll send you, and I've written a ton of blogs, like I said, about how AI is impacting SEO. So I'll send you some of those. You can go to our website, simplified.com, and learn a lot about just what we offer and what we do. We're all about staying ahead of the curve. I mean, that's our biggest thing right now, is staying ahead of the curve and making sure that we're doing best practices for our clients. So I will share a lot of that information with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thankful for you, and thankful for you and Ed, and just the great work you guys are doing in the world. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, it's Melvin. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. Just wanted to take a moment to thank today's podcast sponsor, which is Alma. Alma helps you build a thriving private practice, but it's especially if you want to take insurance. And this actually might be a really good strategy, particularly during periods of either political or economic volatility like we are experiencing now. Even if you're a private pay practice, this might be something just to consider, adding one insurance company that reimburses the best. And Alma takes care of getting you credentialed as well as doing all of the administrative paperwork so that you can just focus on doing the awesome work that you're doing in the world. But more than that, Alma is an entire private practice support system. So they have a bunch of stuff. And what I actually wanted to hone in on was Alma also includes CEUs as well as peer consultation and clinical interest groups. So isolation is something that a lot of clinicians in private practice navigate. And Alma has a wonderful support network to help you combat some of that. You can learn more about Alma over at sellingthecouch.com/Alma. And if you actually go through that link and mention Selling the Couch, you get 2 months absolutely free. That's over at sellingthecouch.com/Alma. So we'll jump right back in. Hey there. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Mary, and especially if you've been curious about this whole world of SEO and its evolution, I hope that today's podcast has been really helpful for you. As I shared on the podcast, embarrassingly shared on the podcast, we didn't focus a lot on SEO for the first, I would say, about eight and a half years of STC. I just mainly focused on an audio-only podcast, and that definitely helped build authority. But about in the last year and a half, one pattern, we use Fathom Analytics, which is like a Google Analytics competitor. But so I was looking at my analytics, and I noticed that almost 80% of our traffic was coming from our newsletter, which is great because the folks on our newsletter were coming over to the blog every time we would promote it. But it also became a problem because 80% of the traffic was dependent on a newsletter going out. And so over the last year and a half, I've been really thinking about SEO and more in this comprehensive framework of not just creating quality content on the website, but also how do I take as much digital real estate as possible in a sustainable way. So we have transitioned from an audio podcast to now having the podcast also on YouTube as well. And then also I post quite a bit on LinkedIn, and that is sort of part of a comprehensive strategy because I've just talking to others, I think this is like a trend that I was seeing. And right now, this is just the first 2 months of 2025, but we've shifted to now 50% of traffic. So 50% of our traffic is coming from search, and then 50% is coming from our newsletter, which is definitely at the level that I want to continue to be at. And the other thing I was reflecting, I could honestly create multiple episodes on this topic because, kind of in the weeds with it now, in the weeds with SEO and thinking through it. But if one thing I'm just kind of noticing is, you may have noticed this as well, ChatGPT now pulls website information and it'll reference the website where it found that data. So if you want to get a little interested or concerned or whatever, look up go into Bard or ChatGPT or whatever you're using and say, what is my online reputation, and you can see what sort of gets pulled. And then you can also actually just plug in your website and see what are our most visited websites. Or you can ask a bunch of interesting questions like that, and you can get some really interesting information, I think, to really enhance your SEO knowledge and all of that kind of stuff. The other thing I just wanted to mention is, I really try to so in the world of SEO, there's this stuff called white hat SEO and then black hat SEO. So black hat SEO is kind of a little bit more of the, you think of suspect kind of things that it may work, but then, it's also could also get blacklisted by Google. So these are, for example, when people will pay random websites money to get backlinks on the website and stuff like that. Whereas white hat SEO is more creating a blog post that has a clear title that's written at a fifth, I try to aim for a 5th grade reading level, stuff like that. So I really try to focus a lot on the white hat SEO stuff because I feel from a long-term sustainability, that just seems a lot better. There's a free course I wanted to just mention as well, Ahrefs, which is kind of the keyword research tool that I use for STC. They have a free YouTube video series as well as a blog post. So just go to ahrefs.com and then look for the free SEO course. I feel like a lot of the principles in there are pretty timeless. And again, all the stuff that Mary and Ed and the Simplified team are creating, definitely check out that material as well, because I think that stuff is especially relevant to therapists. Their website is again over at simplifiedseoconsulting.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'll link to a couple of those blog posts that Mary mentioned. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.